This is a few years ago. This was his first saddle, no bucking. Cut to a couple years later, and this is actually his second ride. I'm going to put his second ride first, and then you can watch his first ride after this footage. This is Dr. Cook's bitless bridle. This is the very first time he's ever had it on. The actual first ride, I rode him in a rope halter. So I just want him to bring his head and give to pressure, and that's what I'm asking him here, and he does it. And the other side, I just want to hold, maintain pressure. When he follows that feel, release my fingertips on the rope. And here I want to see if he can back off of that, and he does. It's a whole different thing when the monkey's on the back, but especially a big monkey like me. This is my fourth visit with him. The first one was all about him trying to get back to his pasture mate. Hand-to-hoof combat, I like to call it. All he did was try to fight me, rear up, pull away, run sideways to get out of work. So the first and second visit, I was just giving him some manners and getting him to trust me, to listen to me. I have other footage that I will share of all the groundwork that I did prior to this, but this is just the end of the last two visits that I had, where I rode him at the end of the session after doing some lunging, leading, and ground driving. I had to put my own stirrups on the saddle, the owner's saddle, and the saddle's, well, he's pretty wide, so it doesn't really fit him 100%, and it sure as heck doesn't fit me. So just doing the best we can with what we have. This footage was taken on 6/22, and it's my second time on him. We want him to stand to be mounted. From the very first ride, we want the horse to stand. And I see if he gives to the bridle by asking him to back up, because if he doesn't back up very well, he's not going to stop very well. A lot of people suggest that they would go bitless after they start the horse in a bitted bridle, and I think it's best to start them in a bitless bridle so we're not hauling on their mouth, and then if you need to add the bit for your particular competition or because you want to, then you can add it later once the horse understands the whole concept of turning and stopping. And of course you can do a lot more work than I did with him by really getting him to give to the bridle on the ground. No matter what bridle that you've chosen to use, you can get them to respond by flexing them on the ground, and especially ground driving them. And so they understand everything, the contact and the release they're going to get.
I can't eat, I can't breathe.
I always like to sit on them for a minute and just give them a massage so they get used to standing to be mounted, and never want to rush off the minute you put your butt in the saddle. And I do very short first rides. I don't aim to go walk, trot, canter in the field. I just want him to have a good experience. Of course, I want to have a good experience. 54 years old, still doing first rides. I've done over 350, most of them off farm. Never had a first ride buck. And I usually only do the first, second, third rides on horses, and then the owner takes over, and it's all gone slick. So I'm not going to change the way I'm doing things or try to walk, trot, canter the first ride. I don't need to prove anything there, and the horse just, he realizes, wow, okay, nothing happened. Nothing bad happened, so we don't want to give him a bad experience. We don't want a rider coming off him. It's not good for either party. And I'm holding him here till he stops his feet, so he gets a release of pressure the moment he stops his feet, and then I hold and wait for him to flex his head more. Because to do a one rein stop, I need him to give to that bridle and stop his feet the moment I reach down the rein. So, of course, he's only been under saddle for probably less than 15 minutes at this point. Total from the first ride and this, our second time. So, everything's new to him. So it just takes the repetition and release of pressure for him to understand what's being asked when I do a one rein stop. The more one rein stops you do, the better your regular halts will get, because they can just feel every pre-cue that you're going to do, which I'll shorten my reins to halt. I'll relax my seat. I say his name, the word and. So right before I'm going to halt, I give him all the cues and take my energy way down. So I'll say Barton and ooh, with a squeeze and release. He is not forward, that's fine with me. Better than wanting to have him run off. We can get him going forward later. And I'm gonna ride him one more time after I did some more groundwork. I worked on spraying him with fly spray in between, and now the last few minutes of my visit, I'm just gonna get on him again bareback. And he's much more forward, much better bareback. I've done a lot of first rides bareback. I can feel the horse, he can feel me. I can feel what he's going to do before he does it. And I have no problem putting a first ride on the horse bareback. I feel more secure than with the English saddle, actually, because I grew up riding bareback. It's really good if you haven't ridden bareback, for balance for you, and just to see the huge difference that you get when you ride and feeling the horse underneath you. So this is the end of the second ride ever, and if you care to watch further, you're going to see what the very first ride looked like less than a week before this visit, how he did. So you'll see how sticky he was then. I did not use a crop with him. I just cut a piece of maple tree to use for a stick here to get him to go forward, and he actually did a little leg yields, a few leg yields for me here, which I did prep him just once on the ground with my hand to have him to give the pressure with a turn on the forehand, turn on the haunches, and then a lateral move on both sides of his body earlier this day. So very happy with how he is, especially since he was so fresh my first couple of visits, and so I'm very happy with how it's going. And soon his young owner will take over with his training. He's doing really good, walking around a lot better than he did a few days ago. Nice halt there, and a nice soft back up. The bugs are bothering him. Nice leg, yep. I have tendonitis, so I have to hop off on my right foot, so if you see me limping, that's what it is. Still working through the pain. Never had it before, and it's very painful. And I think I got it from jumping off horses too much 3 days in a row. And what are you gonna do? So this footage right here is from his first ride. It was less than a week prior to the second ride. I had no stirrups. I was using the owner's equipment and didn't realize there were no stirrups, so I used it without. And before doing this, I had practiced getting him to come over to a part of the fence and standing still and getting him to swing his bum over to pick me up from the fence. So I always take him to the block, act like I'm going to get on, and then bring him away from the block and repeat. I do that several times just so the horse doesn't hold his breath and then explode. So if I bring him to it and take him away, bring him to it and take it away, he can relax a little bit. I also, before riding him here, I did a little join up with him, so if he does, if I do lose him, like I dropped him there, that he doesn't run off. If he runs off, he's going to have to work, so that's how I encourage them to stay with me, hang out with me. Here I'm asking him to bring his head to the side a little bit. I think I had to set up the camera. I didn't have anybody taping me there. Just seeing how he'll give the pressure. So he just wants to eat. I like to bring him to the block and have him come without even restraining him if I can. I don't have somebody hold the horse down while I get on him, or I want him to cooperate with everything, and by leaving him loose like that, I can see if he's cooperating and not just frozen or too scared. So through the whole process, the horse allows me to tack him up and to ride him without being restrained or by me or another person. So he's in agreement. I'm sure he doesn't like it and rather be grazing, but he's in agreement with the whole process, and I'm reading him the whole time when I'm approaching him with any of my equipment. He was very fearful of the whips, and he didn't used to be a couple years ago, because he's a punk, actually, and did a lot of shouldering in and biting, cheap shots, trying to bite, rearing, pulling away, really, really fresh. So I forgot where I was going with that train of thought. That's what happens. So yeah, he was afraid of the whips, and I have to use a whip to train, and he wasn't afraid of anything because he's a punk. So I had to do a lot of desensitizing with the whip to let him know, yes, I need to use it, like to teach him to come over, bring his hip over to the mounting block, but I'm not going to overuse it. He's afraid of fly spray big time. He'll tolerate the hose. I did that with him a long time ago. But when people attempt to hold the animal down and spray him or hold him tight, they just they feel like they're being attacked. So I've worked on that, and I'll have footage of that. So I don't know what I'm doing here, but just watch and see. Okay, we're going to take the saddle off, and I'm going to finish it out and ride in bareback. I may have done something in between and went back to it, I'm not sure. I guess not. I just cut the tape so I can tape short clips so they're easier to load. And I have double diamond rope halter on him here with clip-on reins. They're not clipped where I usually like to have them, because the snaps were very small on these reins, so they're a little forward of where I usually have them clipped. And this video is about to end, and then last one, just finishing off riding him bareback on his first ride. A little under a week prior. It's quite boring, I'm sure, but I like to keep it that way. Keeps me safe. I enjoy giving the horses a good start to where they're not afraid of a human on their back, and just get them to go have a nice forward walk, which I'm sure he'll be much better my next ride, and to where they're not afraid of a human on them, or afraid of touch, or afraid of a leg, or afraid of a whip being used behind them. So it is really rewarding to be able to put first rides on horses and give them a good start and let their owners take over with them. I do all my first rides, well, all of my training actually, without a bit, using the rope halter or Dr. Cook's bitless bridle. And if clients do want to use a bit, then we'll put it in at the end, once the horse understands everything. We don't have to be hauling on his mouth if you get in a predicament on these first rides, you know, your goal is to keep that mouth soft like butter, and not have him have a bad experience with that. So if you look back at the first part of this video, you can compare between the first ride and the second ride, and each time that he gets sat on, that he understands it a little more. It's amazing to me every time that these horses let us get on him at all. You know, he's been a free spirit for 4 years, doing what he wants, and he can run. Boy, when we go out to catch him, he can run. And to allow a human on the back and not buck him off, it amazes me every time that they allow us to do this, and we become partners, and it's really awesome. I'm just holding him till he stops his feet and then smells my boot. Thanks for watching.